This is VOA Africa.
Hello, I'm Esther Githui-Ewart. It's Wednesday, January 27th. This is Africa 54. Due to the global outbreak of COVID-19, Voice of America is taking every necessary precaution to safeguard its employees. So our broadcast will look different today and in the near future as we, out of an abundance of caution, reduce our staffing at VOA headquarters here in Washington. We're working to help keep you informed about what's going on, and we appreciate you staying with us on Africa 54. Ugandan opposition leader Bobi Wine is accusing security forces of humiliating him, his wife, and his family on the day that the military and police stopped surrounding his home following international pressure and a court order. Soraya Ali reports.
Soldiers and police may have now left the home of Ugandan opposition leader Bobi Wine, but helicopters still hover overhead. And the singer and politician says it still feels like the authorities are trying to restrict him.
I was born free, and I'm free, only that I'm everywhere in chains. As you saw, while the court ordered the police to vacate our premises, we still have police and military helicopters hovering over us. That does not stop us. We are not going to let them to identify us as unfree. We are free, and anything that is trying to take away our freedom will be resisted.
Security forces were surrounding Wine's home after he returned from voting in the January 14th election, and only left following international pressure and a court order.
To free themselves.
Wine alleges that soldiers touched his wife's breasts, his gardener was assaulted, food ran out, and there was no milk for an 18-month-old niece trapped with them. The army denied his wife was assaulted, but has not responded to the allegation about the gardener. The police said food was delivered to the compound every day.
It has been an experience of isolation, of torture, of humiliation, having our compound turned into a military garrison.
Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has long been a Western ally, receiving copious aid and sending troops to fight Islamist militants. But foreign governments are increasingly frustrated over his crackdowns on foes and reluctance to cede power. He was declared the winner of January's election with 59% of the vote. Wine, who the Electoral Commission said received 35%, has alleged fraud. With the vote behind him and fraud protests failing to gain significant traction, 76-year-old Museveni appears to be calculating that he can mollify pressure from Western allies to free his rival without significant risk to his power base.
That was Cyril of Reuters reporting. In this exclusive interview with Malawi's former president, Peter Mutharika, VOA's Anita Powell talks about how Southern Africa's poorest nation is facing political troubles and the continued onslaught of the coronavirus pandemic. Mutharika also claims he lost the presidency in a rigged election.
Peter Mutharika tells VOA he is certain he won the 2020 June poll he insists was rigged and triggered violent protests in Malawi. Official election results say Mutharika garnered 39% of the vote, compared to the winner, now President Lazarus Chakwera, who won 59%. The results led to months of political protests, but instead of pushing his case through the courts, Mutharika retired. He tells VOA he will serve as leader of the opposition Democratic Progressive Party, but not run again.
I thought we needed peace in this country after 11 months of violence. So that's what happened. And I think my people, I'm so glad that they acted responsibly and accepted that we should go on, let them take the government, and let Malawi go on in peace.
The June poll was a redo of a February election that was invalidated by the courts. Mutharika, who has been criticized for not doing enough to lift the country out of poverty, said the new government isn't doing enough to test for the coronavirus, provide economic assistance, and impose restrictions to combat the virus.
They need to do more. We probably need some kind of lockdown at some point. We also need to have resources to assist those families in terms of buying food, nutrition. Those are the challenges, but I think the government is encouraging everyone to mask up. I think that's good. Social distancing, I think that's good. And also to discourage people from congregating in large numbers. So that makes some effort, but I think they need to do more.
President Chikwera acknowledged his shortcomings late last year, saying he accepted criticism for his handling of the pandemic and would keep working to do better with the support of his people.
Have you done enough? No, I will be the first one to tell you I have not done enough. And this country has not done enough.
So far, Malawi has no doses of the coronavirus vaccine. Former President Mutharika said he would not hesitate to take the vaccine when it arrives. On another topic, Mutharika says he's encouraged by political change in a major donor nation, the U.S.
I think the change was dramatic in the sense of America's international position. We're already seeing President Biden reversing some of the things, going back to COP25, for example, and also getting United States back into the World Health Organization.
He did, however, offer some praise for the Trump administration, noting that Malawi was one of 4 countries that Melania Trump graced during her only tour of Africa in 2018. Anita, Powell, VOA News, Johannesburg.
Ghanaians are paying their last respects to former President Cyril Rawlings Wednesday in the capital, Accra, where his funeral is being held. Rawlings, who was 73 years old, died in November of last year, but his cause of death has not been made public. He was expected to be buried last month, but the delay was partly because Ghana's political leaders disagreed on some logistics of his funeral. Rawlings was widely viewed as an advocate for the poor, with a checkered past in Ghana, having staged 2 coups and led a military junta before being democratically elected president in 1992. Rawlings won a second 4-year term in office in 1996. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is calling on wealthy countries to stop hoarding coronavirus vaccines so that poorer countries can have access to them. Ramaphosa spoke at a virtual meeting of the World Economic Forum Tuesday. Here's VOA's Maria Diallo.
South Africa is by far the African continent's hardest hit nation by COVID-19, with more than 1.4 million cases and over 41,000 deaths, according to official country data. Curbing the pandemic will require more vaccines for South Africa and other developing nations, says President Cyril Ramaphosa. He told the World Economic Forum Tuesday he's concerned that vaccines are being hoarded.
We need those who have hoarded the vaccines to release the vaccines so that other countries can have them.
Ramaphosa went on to accuse rich countries of acquiring more vaccines than they need, something that will hurt global recovery efforts, he says.
And some countries have even gone beyond and acquired up to 4 times what their population needs. And that was aimed at hoarding these vaccines. And now this is being done to the exclusion of countries, of other countries in the world that most need this.
Earlier in January, the World Health Organization warned the so-called vaccine nationalism will cause an economic and moral catastrophe.
The world is on the brink of a catastrophic moral failure.
A point echoed by the head of the International Chamber of Commerce, who said Monday the unequal distribution of vaccines could cause more than $9 trillion of damage to the global economy.
Japan can frankly do more. Canada can do more. Australia can do more. The constituent members of the European Union must do more as well.
Western nations, including Britain, Canada, Germany, Italy, and Sweden, have jointly pledged nearly $1 billion to COVAX, an initiative by the World Health Organization to ensure poor countries get affordable vaccines. The Biden administration recently announced the U.S. will also participate in the global initiative. On Friday, Pfizer committed to providing about 40 million doses of its COVID-19 vaccine to COVAX this year. German Chancellor Angela Merkel told the World Economic Forum a broad response is needed.
It has become even clearer to me than it was before that we need to choose a multilateral approach.
Merkel said a self-isolating approach won't solve a global pandemic. Maria Diallo, VOA News.
This week, 10 innovative and growth-driven startups in Africa are receiving the Builders of Africa's Future Awards in Silicon Valley. The winners were selected from across the continent and developed a tangible physical or digital product addressing challenges unique to the African socio-economic climate. The Builders of Africa's Future Award is the brainchild of the African Diaspora Network in partnership with the United States, African Development Foundation, and the Miller Center for Entrepreneurship at Santa Clara University. According to Almaz Negash, founder and executive director of the African Diaspora Network, the 2021 cohort has shown incredible resilience, especially amid the COVID-19 pandemic. VOA's Arzuma Compaore had an opportunity to speak with her.
In 2018, we realized that we want to do something more. Not just only get people together, we really want to bring grassroots social entrepreneurs and business entrepreneurs from Africa, and we call that program Builders of Africa's Future. These are entrepreneurs in the sectors of healthcare, education, renewable energy, fintech. They are doing what they can, but they also need access to additional funding. We also are lucky this year in partnership with the U.S. Africa Development Foundation. Each one of the awardees will get $5,000 seed funding at the awardee ceremony. They will be awarded, and what we're hoping is others will join USADF and really try to look at these ventures and invest in them, especially those in Silicon Valley. We're encouraging them to invest directly in grassroots-led organizations in Africa. So that celebration is on January 27th. Our goal is to not just only amplify the work they do, but really also we've invited several local and national investors and global investors to come.
What is it about the African community that needs to improve in order to have access to all of this?
One, we have to recognize that we're not going to get the funding right away. We need to work very hard. We need to work hard. So I'm going to talk in the example of the Builders of Africa's Future. Remember, these are entrepreneurs coming from the continent to Silicon Valley. Why? Because we want to invest in grassroots-led organizations in Africa. And we as diasporans, if nothing, we could just be there for them and either mentoring, partnering, providing them access to resources. It's not charity. We're doing this because we believe that these entrepreneurs are the conduit to make a difference in the continent.
So far, the Builders of Africa's Future program has recognized over 31 entrepreneurs and enterprises from across the continent, providing funding, partnership, and mentoring opportunities and a platform to boost brand visibility and investment potential in Silicon Valley. After a short break, Africa 54 technology reporter Paul Ndiho speaks to the CEO of Sesi Technologies on how African entrepreneurs are creating innovations that help farmers improve their yields. We'll be right back.
Hello, welcome to Straight Talk Africa, live from the Voice of America headquarters here in Washington. I am Shaka Sali. Straight Talk Africa, we call it like it is. We discuss issues that reflect the interests of our audience without fear or favor. We are guided by facts, and I look at myself as a servant of nothing but the truth.
Welcome back to Africa 54. U.S. President Joe Biden on Tuesday signed a series of executive orders that the White House says will advance racial equity for Americans who have been underserved and left behind. Biden's moves disavow racism and xenophobia, including of the type directed at Asian Americans following the rise of the coronavirus pandemic. VOA White House correspondent Patsy Widakuswara has this story.
The quest for racial justice has been front and center in the U.S. since the death of George Floyd in police custody last May.
It was the knee on the neck of justice, and it wouldn't be forgotten. It stirred the conscience and of tens of millions of Americans. And in my view, it marked a turning point in this country's attitude toward racial justice.
On Tuesday, President Joe Biden signed 4 executive orders that the White House says will advance racial equity for Americans who have been underserved and left behind.
These aren't feel-good policies. The evidence is clear. Investing in equity is good for economic growth, and it creates jobs for all Americans.
Biden's actions reversed several Trump administration policies. He directed agencies to strengthen anti-discrimination laws on federal housing and end the Justice Department's use of private prisons, which activists say compound racial disparities. While the rate of black imprisonment has decreased in recent years, it is still more than 5 times the rate of white incarceration.
If you have a for-profit system that then pays people based upon the number of people in it, they're going to want to put more and more people in it. And so the incentives are all wrong in terms of being able to deal with the better societal objectives of public safety and the rehabilitation of members of our society.
Biden is also recommitting the U.S. government to better consultation with the nation's 574 federally recognized Native American tribes. And he wants to combat discrimination against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders that intensified in the early days of the pandemic.
People who look Asian, people who look Chinese are being identified as having the virus.
Biden's push for equity, distributing resources with focus on the needs of minorities, is criticized by conservatives who say true equality means giving everyone the same resources no matter who they are.
The definition of equity by the left is unequal treatment in order to obtain equal outcomes. That is not who we are. That is what Marxism pretends to do, to obtain equal outcomes. We do not have equal outcomes. We allow people to flourish.
Biden's racial equity agenda seeks to deliver for people who helped him win the White House. Black voters make up 11% of the electorate in 2020, and more than 90% of them voted for Biden. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News.
The U.S. Senate confirmed President Joe Biden's nominee Anthony Blinken to lead the U.S. State Department Tuesday. As VOA's congressional correspondent Catherine Gibson reports, Blinken faces numerous challenges worldwide as the nation's top diplomat.
Antony Blinken now set to become the nation's 71st Secretary of State.
The yeas are 78, the nays are 22. The nomination is confirmed.
After the U.S. Senate confirmed President Joe Biden's nominee Tuesday in a bipartisan vote of 78 to 22. Blinken welcomed by many Democrats as a change in direction from the Trump administration's America First foreign policy.
Mr. Blinken is just the right person to rebuild and reassert America's national security prerogatives on the global stage and reestablish the first instrument of American power, diplomacy.
Blinken has decades of experience in foreign policy, both on Capitol Hill and as Deputy Secretary of State in the Obama administration. Experience some Republicans argued would only maintain the status quo in U.S. foreign policy.
Mr. Blinken has been a full-throated advocate of military intervention in the Middle East for 20 years. We're fooling ourselves if we think we're going to get a new policy. We're going to get more of the same.
Other Republican senators supported his nomination while dissenting on the new administration's approach to the Iran nuclear deal.
The JCPOA was a colossal failure and a real blunder for American policy overseas. In talking with Mr. Blinken, he does not share that view. And obviously is going to work with the president, carrying the president's water to get us back into the JCPOA.
Blinken told senators in a confirmation hearing last week the U.S. relationship with China is a top concern.
We have to start by approaching China from a position of strength, not weakness. And the good news is our ability to do that is largely within our control. Position of strength when we are working with, not denigrating, our allies. That's a source of strength for us in dealing with China.
Analysts say Blinken will also face the task of rebuilding the U.S. State Department following a turbulent period.
After 4 years of Pompeo and Tillerson and Trump, I think morale is quite low. But then it's a longer-standing problem where I think many in the diplomatic corps feel like they've taken a back seat to what the Pentagon and the U.S. military have done in terms of dominating U.S. foreign policy and our approach to the world.
Blinken takes on that challenge after a relatively non-confrontational confirmation process.
He is thoughtful, willing, able to grapple with the most complex, challenging issues facing our country, and committed to engaging Congress. And he did so on both sides of the aisle.
Blinken is the fourth Biden cabinet nominee to be confirmed in the past week. Catherine Gibson, VOA News, Washington.
In our technology news, African entrepreneurs are creating innovations that help farmers improve their yields. In Ghana, Sesi Technologies, the company behind GrainMate, allows farmers and grain purchasers to affordably measure moisture levels of maize, rice, wheat, millet, sorghum, and other staples. Africa 54 technology correspondent Paul Ndiho spoke to Isaac Sesi, the CEO of Sesi Technologies.
Isaac Sesi, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you very much, Paul.
You built an incredible technology that has helped a lot of farmers across Ghana and across Africa to figure out how to manage their yields, to manage their crops. Let's start there.
Yes, we built a technology to help reduce post-harvest losses in grains among farmers. And this technology is called GrainMate, Grain Moisture Meter, which is a simple moisture meter that makes it possible for anyone that works with grains to measure the moisture content in their grains before storage so they can reduce losses. You know, just being able to know the moisture content in your grains can be the difference between your grains growing moldy and you losing all of your harvest, and you being able to store for long and reap the benefits of storing for long.
Why agriculture? There are so many other places that you could have gone, but you chose to go into agriculture.
Both my parents are farmers. You know, I have been close to the food value chain. I've been really excited about being able to grow things in the soil and see it come up. And I have also been in the space of seeing farmers work so hard, and just something small takes away all of their produce, and then the hardship that results from that happening. And so I realized that one of the ways I could apply my knowledge and my skills in technology in a way that was fundamental to human beings is in the field of agriculture, because every one of us eats, and half of the continent is employed in agriculture, which means that if you're solving problems in agriculture, you can reach so many people and you can impact lives at a very fundamental level.
Have you been able to scale beyond Ghana?
Already we have partners that we're working with in Kenya, in Zimbabwe, in Rwanda, and in Nigeria that are going to be our partners to scale this technology in these countries. Already we have units that are in use in Zimbabwe, in Kenya, and in Rwanda. So the problems that we face, or the problems smallholder farmers face in Ghana, are similar to the problems that are faced by farmers in different parts of sub-Saharan Africa. So this is a solution that can work outside of Ghana as well as in Ghana.
When I've talked to a lot of farmers, either small-scale farmers or commercial farmers, they have a wide range of challenges that they face on a daily, day-to-day basis. How has your technology helped them improve their products or get better yields at the end of a harvest season?
It's true that smallholder farmers actually face a lot of challenges. In fact, it was something that we learned while working with the World Food Program for over a period of 1 year. So we came back and then we said, what can we do to solve more problems? Because we realized that we could only make the maximum impact if we're providing a holistic solution. And then we developed a suite of post-harvest management technologies that really helps them right from the drying, threshing, storage, even to the point of marketing. And we've put all this together in a package called Farmer Pack. which we are delivering to the farmers. So we have been able to sort of solve a lot of their problems. And the exciting thing is that we're presenting this solution in a way that they can pay for. So instead of having to pay cash, which is one of the major barriers to the adoption of technology services, they can give us grains in exchange for the package of solutions that we are providing them. And the response and the reception has been incredible.
When it comes to funding, are you looking for potential investors from maybe people who are looking at your product and they're saying, we want to be part of this?
So we're looking for investors. We're looking to raise $500,000 to scale our production, to scale our product development and our marketing and distribution, where we've been actively reaching out to investors, and our doors are also open for anybody who believes that we can partner to create value for everybody involved.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Paul.
That was Africa 54's technology correspondent Paul Ndiho speaking to Isaac Sessi, CEO of Sessi Technologies in Takoradi, Ghana. The northern white rhino is on the brink of extinction. Poachers decimated the population, but now science has a chance to bring it back. VOA's Arashar Basadi reports.
Najin and Fatu are the last two northern white rhinos known in existence. Scientists racing against time may have just found a way to save the world's most endangered mammal.
On the 12th of December, we did an oocyte collection where we harvest 14 oocytes. That was the highest number we ever got from a rhino, and we were extremely happy about that outcome.
Thomas Hildebrandt heads reproduction management at the Leibniz Institute for Zoo and Wildlife Research in Berlin. After scientists retrieved the record 14 eggs from Fatu, they combined them with frozen sperm from dead males of the species. And on Christmas Eve, they added 2 new embryos to the other 3 they already had frozen, bringing the grand total to 5. Hildebrandt says he's confident they can produce a calf from at least one, but the clock is ticking.
We are quite under time constraints because we want really a transfer of the social knowledge from the last 2 existing northern white rhinos to a calf. That means we have to produce a calf under the next 2-3 years.
The 5 embryos are now stored in liquid nitrogen, waiting for transfer to a surrogate mother from the southern white rhino, a subspecies numbering around 18,000. Scientists hope to deliver the first calf in 3 years and a wider population in the next 2 decades, bringing the species back from the brink of extinction. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News, Washington.
And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, thank you for watching.